Hello everyone, I am here with Ben Garrett of Tiny Healthy Homes. We've actually recently travelled down from Vancouver, where Ben is based, to Portland, where we are actually both going to be attending the Tiny House Living Festival, which is happening, well, they're saying Portland, it's actually just a little bit north in town in Washington, but we're going to be there tomorrow, so if you are in the area, feel free to... Oh, I think we lost you guys for a second there, but we're back now. So yeah, if you are actually going to be around the Portland area tomorrow, come say hello to us. I think I'm going to be talking at 1 p.m., but we'll both be around for most of the day. And then I'm also going to be talking on Sunday. So if you're going to be around, make sure you come and say hello. Right now, we are in one of Ben's most recently completed tiny houses. This is one called the Eclipse, and Ben is going to take us for a walk through the house. So, let me just flip this camera around.
Okay. And I'm eating grapes from the property. So you're in the great room, I guess. It's a 26 foot by 8 foot by 13.6 high tiny house. Zach and Jagna were the clients, and they're after a chemical-free tiny house. So we've got really great high-performance membranes, low toxicity insulation, and then all natural wood that's finished with hemp oil on the interior. So they've got a little baby, so the loft is pretty large. It's an illusion. It goes back past the bathroom door there that you can see. Maybe we start upstairs?
Yeah, let's go have a look upstairs.
I usually do a little landing here since we're at it. It's like a landing that doesn't make any sense except when you're hanging out in the kitchen and chatting to everyone. So usually the stairs are a little bit too narrow for this kind of arrangement where you can sit comfortably. So I've just incorporated this into most of my stair designs. Got a little bit of storage here for slippers or whatever. It just kind of worked out with the design.
Just under that bit there.
And so yeah, we got it's a king size bed, plenty of windows for ventilation. Got the heat recovery ventilator there, so they're getting good fresh air. Their stale air is being replaced by fresh air all the time.
And this is quite cool as well, because it's actually been designed for a young one as well. So the cot sits there, and there's plenty of room for mum and dad and baby up here.
And the idea as well was this landing area through here can eventually have a bookshelf that separates them once the baby gets a little bit older and they want to have some space to themselves. So it's a 2-bedroom loft. At the moment it's 1.
Cool.
But that's about it. We've got these LED lights, like a night light, and then various dimmer settings. And it keeps its memory while you can switch them all, so you can program them all separately and it still works on your switch, your regular light switch.
So this place is called the Eclipse Tiny House. Why are they calling it that?
Yeah, well, there's a kind of a rush to get it here for the Eclipse because we're in Oregon. So it didn't have a name until the day of the eclipse, and Zach sent me a text and was like, let's go on the Eclipse, and it totally made sense. So yeah, they arrived here 2 days before the eclipse, and then they had a party with their friends, and it's kind of a moment in time that they like to remember when they got their home.
Cool.
Yeah.
So we have Anne from Georgia watching. Hello, Anne. Rosefield from Jersey. Hello in Jersey. And Celine says, our tiny house tours are her favorite. Thank you so much, Celine. Cool. Should we go downstairs and check out the rest of the place?
Yep.
All right. So this lounge area here is really nice. I know it's a little bit dark. We were hoping to start earlier, but unfortunately the weather gods have not been on our side today, and we've just been trying to get some other tours finished. But
it was it was an interesting visit that we had from the clients where Zachary's the visionary of some of the design stuff, and he was kind of walking around saying that he kind of wanted a couch that wasn't straight and fun, so it's got this diamond shape that's coming through with tons of storage under there and some side tables and stuff like that. Through these 3 big feature windows, they're looking south, so that's where the sun is rising and setting in the afternoon through this window right here. And so this living area is just sort of designed for that solar aspect.
And these feature windows are so nice, eh? When you walk in, that's the first thing that you see. And yeah, unfortunately you can't see the view out there right now, but they're on such a beautiful property.
Yeah. And then the other thing, they've got the sun over here, but over here they've got this view all the way down the valley, which you can't see either.
You definitely can't.
There's, with the sliding patio door, with the fly screen and stuff, it's pretty buggy. The whole thing's finished with hemp oil, which seems to... The bugs love it while it's in its drying phase.
But look at how nice the finish is with that hemp oil. The timber just turns out so well.
Yeah.
And should we show the kitchen?
Sure. Well, the first cabinet, I guess, is on this side. So it's just a little bit of storage, taking out that corner, which is always a dead spot in a kitchen.
I'm actually going to see if I can add a little bit of light. Is that? I think that's adding just a little light, maybe. I don't think it's doing that much, actually.
So you can see this stuff.
Yeah. Get right in their cupboards.
Been eating their grapes all week.
They're so good. I mean, all of this is actually just growing here on the property, and they are so good.
We're waiting on a countertop, unfortunately. The granite guy's coming.
Hey Noel, welcome and thank you for joining us.
A bunch of drawers. I try and put as many drawers as I can, even considering the wheel wells. So wherever the wheel wells aren't, we've got drawers because they're the best in the kitchen.
And like it's kind of unusual how you've managed to get so much space here. Is this a normal width tiny house, or have you extended the width a bit?
Nope. It's still... I'm always going 2 foot for the stairs, which then gives us a kitchen that feels okay. And then utilising all that space under the stairs with oven and as many drawers as we can get in. And then these doors are all shorter because that's where the wheel wells are.
Right.
But yeah, there's tons of counter space in this. Like they've got little ones, so the little ones are going to be on their sort of bar stools, kids' seats being fed.
Yep, perfect.
And, some under cabinet lighting. It's got a washer dryer. It's Solar Rock, which is it's kind of a knockoff of the more expensive brands, but it's made in the same factory. So,
and in this tiny house as well, you were trying to avoid using gas, right? So even though they do have an option for gas hookup, things like the cooking is designed to be done on induction, and most things are designed to be powered with electricity.
Yep. There was a little bit of a late curveball that we got given about the electricity. They weren't able to get 100 amps. So what we did was we downgraded the on-demand electric hot water. So we did end up putting a propane hot water system in the back, but we kept just a 30 amp electric hot water. So now we've got a hybrid system. So the electric on-demand hot water is preheating for the propane. So the propane doesn't need to go off as much if you're just doing dishes or this and that. But if you do want to fill up their bathtub, you need to have both those systems going. So
Selena's asking what this big silver thing on the counter is, and I assume this is what you're talking about. This is actually a Berkeley water filter.
Yep.
So that is just, you fill that up and it just gravity feeds and filters down into this where your water comes out. Nice and simple.
Yeah.
Cool. And we don't have lighting in the bathroom right now. This has just been moved onto site, right? But can we can try and see. I've got the torch on. I think it might just be too dark. We can see some stuff. Oh,
over here
you've been hiding all of your work in here, haven't you? Look at all that. Cool. Yeah. So we've got...
I guess the one feature that might be interesting for people to see is one that I picked up in New Zealand, actually. In New Zealand, they use shower domes, and the reason for that is that the building code doesn't use vapor barriers and this and that, so obviously the shower room gets really wet, and there's all kinds of moisture wanting to go into the walls. So I kind of incorporated that idea, and I've got this metal, or this piece of metal, which is going to collect all the moisture, which will run down a small slope, down the back wall, and then back into the tub. Which
perfect. Does this light turn on? Does this one?
No, they're all
none of them are.
Yeah.
Gosh, you've been slack today.
No, I've got a faulty GFCI.
And then underneath the fridge, that for some reason is there right now, there's a fridge. Underneath there is a composting toilet, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right.
This fridge, we found it's like the perfect size. It's 24-inch wide and 79. Anyways, it just fits perfectly at a 6'6" height. You're 6'4"?
I'm 6'4", yeah, so fitting comfortably under here.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So yeah,
shut this so I'm not. So you guys don't always have to look at me in the mirror there.
And then, yeah, we had Lee, carpenter from England, who did a lot of the custom cabinetry, which is pretty sweet, and kind of unique panels, all moving through to kind of keep it all nice and continuous.
Yeah, I just love all the timber that's in here. You've really gone to town with all this.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of your signatures, though, isn't it? Just using as many natural materials as possible.
Yeah, I like the cabin style look, but still with the modern sort of shed roof and a kitchen that's super functional as well. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got a mini split air conditioner up there, so that'll do their heating and cooling. If they need to supplement their heating in winter, then there's plenty of sockets around to just plug in a little strip heater or something like that. Yeah, and then the heat recovery ventilator, just to make sure that you've always got fresh air when it's winter and all the windows and doors are closed, and so you're replacing the stale air in your house with fresh stuff from outside.
Cool.
Yeah.
So, should we have a sit now?
Mm-hmm.
And let's have a chat about some of the amazing building work that you're doing. So your company is called Healthy Tiny Homes, and you specialize in doing homes which are non-toxic, eco-friendly. What does that really mean?
That's a good question. It means something different for everyone, I guess. So some clients that I'm talking with have a pre-existing condition. So maybe it's multiple chemical sensitivities, or fibromyalgia, or chronic fatigue, or Lyme disease, or something like that. And in order for them to try and get better or come off disability or whatever it is that they're trying to do, they can have a neutral place to live. So then they can start really honing in on what it is that's affecting their health. So it's really, really great. And the clients that I have are amazing, all in their own way. And it's so nice to not only just build houses, but help people get better, you know.
Absolutely. So Maria is asking where you're based. Ben's actually based in Vancouver. Judging by the silver fern that's on your little profile logo there, I'm going to go out on a limb and guess that you're from New Zealand. If that is the case, Ben actually quite frequently travels to New Zealand. We're actually doing a tiny house building workshop, which is in February on Waiheke Island.
February 18th.
February 18th. Mm-hmm. So both Ben and I will be at that workshop. So there's actually 2 tiny houses being built there, which is going to be super cool. But yeah, if you are looking for stuff to happen in New Zealand, Ben kind of splits his time between New Zealand and Canada right now, although most of your efforts are focused here in the Pacific Northwest, right?
Yeah, I've got a family and a couple of little ones who are just entering school age, so we don't get to play as long in Australia and New Zealand during the off-season here, summer here, but I'm still going to be traveling between doing building workshops, because I really love that engagement where we get 15 or 20 people together and build a tiny house for somebody. But yeah, my workshop's based in Vancouver, Canada, and I'm shipping tiny houses all over North America.
Cool. Just so you all know, if you have any questions for either me or Ben, you're welcome just to throw them down in the comments right now, and we're going to do the best that we can to answer them for you during this live stream. But Ben, so just talking about this whole idea of a tiny, healthy home, what are some of the fundamental principles that you stick to when you're actually designing a healthy home? What are some of the sort of the overarching ethics that go into your building?
Mm-hmm. I guess the first one always starts with budget.
Right,
so
as it always does.
If there was no budget, it would be incredible. But as a starting point there, I had another tiny home that I delivered a few weeks ago, and it was a really small budget, and so we did our best to find salvage materials that we could introduce into the build. the great thing about salvage, if you can find the right stuff, is it's already gone through its off-gassing cycle. So our kitchen was all pretty much just a standard laminate melamine kitchen. But it was so old that you kind of assume that it's gone. A lot of its off-gassing has been done. And then we used standard vapor barriers on that and pretty standard insulation. And then we had plywood on the inside. That was going to get an earthen finish so that the client could have some negative ions, from the clay, sort of a forest feeling in the house, and a natural building feeling. But I think the main one really is having a ventilation system, especially up here in the Pacific Northwest, where you are going to be inside and the windows and doors are going to be closed. And, it's that basic thing of making sure that your building has cross ventilation, and also you're replacing the stale air that's building up inside. And New Zealand's like a perfect example of that as well, especially at the fact that you don't use vapor barriers as much as we do here. Making sure that you've got ventilation and fresh air just for your own health, apart from making sure that any toxins are being released from the building. So, yeah, I'd say ventilation is the biggest one, and it's one that usually gets ignored in tiny houses. It's the way that it's building code in Vancouver now. It's building code in Europe. Ventilate your house, and especially a tiny house. It's a small space.
Absolutely. So Brooke is asking, are there any tips for building a tiny house with a baby in mind? And are there any design elements you've put in so that the house can grow with a child? And I suppose this tiny house is actually a perfect example of this. I'm not sure if you've actually watched the first part of this live stream, but we tour through it. And Ben shows you how he's actually extended the loft in the sleeping area so that both mum and dad and baby can have their space, and also designed it so that they could put in a divider bookshelf or something in between later on. Mm-hmm. And I suppose the other thing to remember is, and we've talked about this quite a bit recently, is that people often think that a tiny house is a completely static thing, and then once it's built, it's complete. But just like any other home, you're able to renovate a tiny house. You can change the interior and actually have it so that everything can evolve with you and grow and change as your needs grow and change, right?
Yep. And I think the other thing with kids, because I've built a few now that have been for families, the windows in the loft, you've got this interesting balance between. I'm usually trying to have windows that have got appropriate egress if there's a fire, which is standard kind of building code stuff. But then you don't want a kid to fall out of the window as well. So in some cases, we'll screw the screens in, the fly screens. Or if you've got an awning window, which I've done as well, then we put wire across in the same way as you've got for a stair rail or something. And I noticed at the Rochette tiny house, they just had a small pair of pliers there so they can cut the wire and get out if they need as a safety thing. And
that's a tiny house, by the way, that is going to be coming up on one of our tours. Actually, both of these tiny houses, the Rochette tiny house and the one that we're in right now, are both coming up as full tours on the channel that you can check out.
Mm-hmm. And the only other one is just regular stair stuff. It's kind of, their little one is maybe 14 months, and it is a fairly steep set of stairs, so just the regular baby gates and stuff like that for little ones.
Yeah.
But also having rooms that can be closed off so that kids can be sleeping while you're still enjoying some time to yourself. So yeah,
totally,
like a regular house.
Because you can actually have your design as well so that maybe it has multiple lofts, so you could put an additional loft over this side, or there's an option as well to create different rooms as well in case you want that kind of privacy as well.
Yeah, it's fun to design. It's fun to design for more than one person. The kids don't need as much height in the loft, so you can split one loft being an adult height and the other one being a bit more of a kid's height if you need some more space in that other room. So it's personal, whatever you need.
Yeah. So another thing that's really interesting to me about your building style, your background was actually in the natural building world before you moved into tiny houses. Can you talk to us a little bit about how that transition was and what elements from the natural building world you've pulled into your tiny homes?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I was doing natural building, and I love natural building, and still go off and do those kind of builds. They usually take a lot longer, so the tiny house kind of sucked me in because it's a really doable project in like 3 months, and then you're 100% finished. Natural building is slow building, so usually that's going to take, to build a home, even if it's a small home, it's going to take a couple of seasons if you want to do it right. The elements that I brought across would just be, like, I don't use glues. I'm using hemp oils and natural oils to seal everything, which is totally just bringing it from the natural building world. Natural builds are usually off-grid as well, so there's kind of an easy crossover there where a lot of people that are wanting tiny houses are hoping to get some solar panels or at least LED lights and lower their footprint energy-wise in that way. What else? Collecting your rainwater. I'm always putting standing seam metal roofs on all of these, and usually when I'm designing it, ends up coming back to a single pitch shed roof, just because of the ease of collecting your rainwater and then potentially using it again to water your plants or this and that. And then the other thing is, if I'm talking to a client who has a specific location, then I'm always being super aware of where the sun rises and sets every day, because that's where we get all of our energy from, including just our own health energy, and getting some sun in the morning and the afternoon, and then how that affects where the bedroom's going to go, or where the living room's going to go. And if you're waking up in the morning and making a coffee, it's nice to have the sun warming your face. So all of those elements, I think, they should be in regular architecture and tiny house design anyways, but they definitely have a stronger presence in natural buildings, so it was nice. It was nice to bring that into the tiny house world.
Cool, yeah. So for people out there who are wanting more information on what Ben does and want to know more about natural building and how that applies to tiny house design, we actually did a really long Q&A video, which is still here on my Facebook page, so if you go back through my videos you'll be able to find that. That was one that we recorded at our Maple Ridge workshop just outside of Vancouver. Now, for people who want to get hold of you, Ben, how do they do that? Where do they find you?
I'm updating my website constantly, tinyhealthyhomes.com.
And his Facebook page is actually tagged in the description of this video as well, so you can also reach him through there.
Yeah, so you can send me an email, you can sign up for our mailing list for tiny house building workshops. Bryce and I are talking about doing some design workshops where it'll be a little bit more focused on design stuff in just a couple of days, so I'm kind of excited to get some of that stuff happening. But yeah, check out the website, have a look at the stuff that I've built, and yeah.
Cool. So Den is asking, are we going to be at the Jamboree? I am actually going to be at the Tiny House Jamboree this year, which I'm super excited about. That's happening in late October in Texas. So yes, I will be there. I'm going to be talking about the international tiny house movement, and I'm also looking at maybe doing a little bit on how tiny houses can be applied to disaster recovery and resilience, which I think is a super relevant topic with everything that's been going on right now in terms of the natural disasters. I'm also talking at the Portland Tiny House Festival this weekend, so both Saturday and Sunday at 1 p.m, and Ben will be joining me for that event. Yep. The only other thing that we have confirmed on the cards right now is the Tiny House Building Workshop, which is happening on Waiheke Island in New Zealand in February, so make sure you're getting in to see us when you can.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I'm designing a gypsy wagon at the moment for Rosa, who's going to be one of the owners, and the other build where still flopping around trying to find the perfect tiny house to build. So
we want to find a really cool client for that one so we can do something totally off the hook. So if you're super adventurous and want us just to build you something crazy in New Zealand, make sure you get in touch. You can get in touch with me via my website or Ben via his at Tiny Healthy Homes. So I hope you've enjoyed the tour of this beautiful tiny house. Hello, Felix from America. We're also in America right now, so hello. So yeah, thank you all for tuning in. in. I hope you've enjoyed this tour and this live stream, and there will be lots more of these to come. Hopefully, I'll see you guys in Portland. If not, I'll see you at the Texas event later this year. There's lots of fun stuff that's going to be happening, so thank you all so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time. See ya!